We're back at Investor Townhall's headquarters in San Diego, California. I'm your host, Daniel Wong. On today's program, we welcome back our longtime guest, David Drake of LDJ Capital. David, thanks so much for taking the time with us today.
Thanks for having me, Daniel. Pleasure being on board.
Well, David, we always enjoy having you on to talk cryptocurrency markets, and it's actually been quite a while. I think it's been a couple months since we last had you on, but you've been quite busy there. You've actually worked on a accelerator program called the Soho Loft Crypto Accelerator. Let's talk a little bit about that before we start diving into some of the other crypto-related topics here.
Well, much appreciated. So the Soho Loft Accelerator in crypto was created actually the last year because we were servicing clients, and it's a wholly owned subsidiary of my family office, LDJ Capital. And as we realized we needed to institutionalize what we're doing in crypto and for initial coin offerings, since we've been working with over 100 of them, making us one of the most frequent board advisors in the world, the Crypto Accelerator made a lot of sense. We had a proprietary 55 steps. We got 25 employees full-time supporting with 1,000 hours a week, over 40 ICOs every week on how they're going to prepare themselves, what they need to keep in mind, what they have to be able to be ready for, and how to get institutional ready, such as services that Wall Street needs, public companies need, accountability, governance, market making, IR, public relations, quarterly reports. And right now, these kids who do these crypto companies, they don't know anything about these things. So we wanted to streamline that process and came up with the Soho Loft Crypto Accelerator to make that more official. And right now, the way we have it is companies who apply to be part of the program, they'll get me as a board advisor as part of the program, but also support staff that are putting in 1,000 hours a week for several companies. And we've seen and we know the answers to the biggest challenges that all these companies have. The small businesses, the medium-sized business coming into the space, they need answers, and the answer is not always black and white, because if you're biased, you're not going to know what's the norm. You need somebody unbiased to tell you what's normal, what people are doing by jurisdiction, by country, marketing, etc. So it just adds up to several different solutions that we have access to, since we work with $25 billion worth of market cap companies that have been part of the board that I've been sitting on. So this is the next chapter in our lives. And as such, Daniel, we've been adding, 30 different service providers, the best of the best, who know how to get results done very efficiently. So, we have the former ambassador to Denmark from the US working with us on the management side of things. The executive who rebuilt Atari completely sits on the board for Atari, works with us. And then we have, advertising agencies that have been working with Samsung and Fiat and doing world-class commercials that won awards, to just simple things as guerrilla marketing and a couple unique things we have. I have my own show, NASDAQ, right now once a week about digital innovation. And we also have the world's largest LinkedIn groups. So we have 16 million LinkedIn members in our group. And why is that unique? Well, we're allowed to send them a message that's compliant with Microsoft and who owns LinkedIn, and that allows us. That's almost like 1 billion emails with a 0.1% click-through rate. So there are a couple of toolkits in the kitchen that we have that makes us competitive, giving them services that nobody else has. So we've been excited about being able to roll this out the last couple of months, and we're getting great responses. And more businesses are coming to us globally, not just in the U.S., saying, David, can the Soho Loft, subsidiary of LDJ Capital, be an end-to-end solution with programming and onboarding and fundraising and everything that needed above and beyond the 55 steps? So we started, Daniel, moving towards a full service. So small and medium-sized businesses can come to us and say, hey, we don't know this space that well, but we certainly want to tokenize. It's going to bring shareholder value to our shareholders, because you're not selling an equity. So consequently, that's also a separation of this whole crypto accelerator that we're doing for larger companies with a bigger budget. Hopefully that'll be helpful for everybody who's listening in. So yeah, gladly have everybody follow up with us by email.
Well, David, tell us about that. So you mentioned some of the main things that actually keep these companies have these major concerns, these challenges for these companies. Could you talk to us about what some of those are? I mean, you mentioned obviously utilizing LinkedIn to connect with people. That's why we use YouTube. Obviously, YouTube, you're still able to communicate with people when a lot of the social media outlets have actually banned it. So, talk to us
Correct.
about some of those other challenges though that you're solving for those companies.
Well, right now in the U.S., is the legality of an ICO. And right now, Jay Clayton, the chairman of the SEC, has clearly said, look, we haven't looked at anything that we don't consider security. And they're applying the Howey Act from 1946. What the Howey Act says is if you are a company and you create a token and people expect to make a profit on that, you are technically a security. And that's kind of the argument the SEC has been nibbling and mentioning and bringing up over the last 6 months. However, the question now becomes, well, what's a security, what's a commodity, and what's a currency, and what's a utility? So it hasn't been decided yet, and this is one of the biggest issues here with companies coming to us. They don't know what's going to happen and what the law is and how law firm wants to handle it. Of course, that's going to become expensive, right? So an accelerator, we've been talking to every law firm nationwide because we've been on the board and advising their companies. So we get to see what they do and we can see what's normal and where the direction is going. And we certainly can ask them all questions without our companies having to pay $250,000 in legal fees. So that's a big, big, big challenge because if it's not compliant, well, you're going to get arrested and then you don't have a business. So that's probably the most important one. But there is also several other aspects of it. How do you do guerrilla marketing? How important is Telegram versus Slack versus Quorum and Reddit? Do you have to have Medium and post it on your social media? Why not? Furthermore, how are you dealing with PR, press releases, quarterly reports? These kids, a lot of the kids with the startups doing ICOs, they raise the money after that. They don't care. There's no shareholder responsibility because they're tokens. There's no transparency, which is the whole idea of this industry, to be transparent, but it's not. It's supposed to be decentralized, but every company is not that open with what's happening inside. So it's kind of a, oxymoron almost becoming in certain ICOs that, things feel a little sideways when they make a lot of money. And this becomes, they maybe only have one guy holding on to the wallet that all the money comes into. And we're starting to see people getting nervous about that. So yes, there are issues and challenges, and we want to make sure that people going through the accelerator program can foresee the challenges because we know them and we can prepare them for it, such as business processes, how to deal with custody, how to deal with accountability and governance, and just keeps going. So, we have a long history with startups for the last 25 years. And as a family office in New York for 22 years, we've been working with angel investments and VC investments. Now we're applying all of that knowledge for 25 years to the crypto space. And small and medium-sized businesses, they're going to be using this for loyalty programs. Supply chain is huge in this space. Inventory and, balancing of the books. I mean, it applies to anything because it's a little software tracking where everything came from if you wanted to.
Well, definitely. I think coming from the capital markets, I think that's a perspective that a lot of people maybe don't think of. Once you raise the money, you're absolutely right. They raise the money and they kind of think, well, we're done. We've got all this money now. There's so many other facets there. What's going to make it successful? What's going to set it apart? You do need investor relations. You do need that corporate governance. You are going to have to, make sure that you're being very transparent to everyone. That's what you raised it on, and you want investors to continue to follow you. So I think that's a fantastic point you bring up there, and you're obviously solving that problem for companies. So I'm looking forward to hearing more about the Soho Loft.
It'll be a pleasure. And, we decided to also add a full service solution that's more expensive for companies coming to us that say, look, we don't have the bandwidth, or we don't understand how this thing works. Can you help us not only do the 55 steps, but also help us with the fundraising, with the operations, with the build out, the end-to-end solution. And the reason is there are very few companies in the world out there who can do all of it. And they're overwhelmed with business. And we are in that position that we're like, well, we've been doing this for longer than most companies out there. So we started implementing that, and we're starting to see more business coming in from globally from small to medium-sized businesses.
Well, I definitely think that people are going to latch onto that. I mean, come on, people really need a lot of help there, and so best of luck there, and we'll definitely follow up with you there. But David, we always catch up with you, when we talk here and we talk cryptocurrency markets. Let's talk about what the latest is going on there. Let's talk about maybe the top five, where you see the markets headed. Just kind of give us your insight, because we know you're obviously are out there. You're connected to a lot of people. You do a lot of writing. You're on a lot of shows. Talk to us about the cryptocurrency markets currently right now.
So yes, I get a lot of updates on current events regularly from trading desks, OTC desks. Right now, we were expecting that the institutional investors will come in this fall. But what we're starting to see right now is about 6 months ago, there were maybe just 5 OTC desks, like Circle, it's bought by Goldman Sachs. And then they bought in turn Polynex, an exchange. Now, there's hundreds of OTC desks globally. Small banks, individual platforms are cropping up left and right. And I think that's affecting the market, because remember a couple of months ago, they saw the volatility and the volume was low. And I think the same applies today. And because a lot of these deals are now being done privately on an over-the-counter desk, where they're matching up big investors with the coin and the cash, or the coin to another coin, and it doesn't hit the exchanges. It being done off the exchanges. And we're waiting for the institutions to come in, but no, the challenge becomes, if you have a very efficient OTC market that doesn't affect the exchange prices because they don't get traded there, and you have dark pools as well as peer-to-peer solutions. For instance, Bancor is a company I work with. They have 100 ICOs, well, cryptocurrencies, that signed up on their Mastercoin. So Bancor trades, but over 100 other companies have decided to be trading under Mastercoin on their Bancor as a Mastercoin. So, we're starting to see consolidation into fewer coins potentially. Stellar's doing the same thing with a Mastercoin. So instead of having too many coins, they're going to have to compete for your attention. More and more of these are getting consolidated to counteract the volatility. We have actually even been working on being able to bring in shorter trading dates. If you remove the trading floor, the trading amount of time that you're trading, you might be able to create more volume and liquidity in the market, because there'll be shorter window to invest into that token. So I'll think that we're going to see, right now Ether is at 600 something, and 580. I think we'll see Ether up at 800 in 2 weeks. And also, I have always been a big supporter of EOS. EOS has been blocking the US. And offshore funds have been buying it that I've been invested in. And the reason I like them is because, A, they raised over $2.4 billion in cash last year and spent a whole year doing their fundraising. And they're now going through the test net and going to go live with a token end of the month. They have spent that money well to bring brand awareness and bring programmers closer to using their solution and aiming at becoming the Ether killer, the token, the crypto protocol that might take the second spot on the list by 2019. So I believe in it, because I've seen more and more EOS platforms popping up using the technology. And they actually set up 3 funds at the very least for 200 million each, just to invest in EOS, and had the whole year to market themselves, which they did very well. They went to just about every conference there was to speak and promote to developers to start using their platform. So I'm pretty positive they do really well. I mean, they used to be at 8th place globally, maybe just 5 months ago. Now they're number 5. And they're kind of double in size the last 5 months and market cap, and running around $13 right now. I personally think that they're going to do really well because of the time, the money, and the effort they've had in. And also their speed is far faster than anything Ether and Bitcoin has had in the past or currently. So unless Vitalik can come around and make Ether faster, EOS has a great chance to catch up with Ether within the next 8 months. We're going to have to see and wait. And I think, Ether itself at 580 will go up to 800 in the next 2-3 weeks. And when the institutions come in the fall, we would expect the prices of these coins go out heavily. But if the OTC continues to grow and more of these deals and tradings occur off the main exchanges, then it might not be the case as we expected as quickly as we want it. Yet again, the biggest users haven't gotten in yet. And I think that will start happening in September, October. I think we're going to see a spike like we see last year in September, October, November, and December. So that's what I'm looking for.
Well, David, we always appreciate your insight to what's going on in the markets there. Anything else? We always like having these conversations, just a nice open conversation about what's going on. Anything else you'd like to share with the viewers and guests out there that kind of what's going on with David Drake and what you're thinking?
Well, we've had a great year, and last year too. Right now we're going to take a little trip and go abroad. And then next year we're going to go and travel more. We always travel and talk about crypto. And we're going to be heading out to Europe and do the little rounds over there to help people out. As well as, we're opening up more partnerships in the US. So we've literally been partnering up with maybe 30 different best of the best services out there to support the cryptocurrency companies that we've been working on for a long time. Daniel, what do you see happening?
Well, I think from what you've been looking at here, I think I agree with a lot of what you said. I mean, you're talking about institutions haven't got in. You talked about it being a cold, kind of a cold winter and waiting to see maybe a couple other fluctuations. What I was hoping for us to see was kind of coming towards the end of this month, seeing a little bit of a run, then a pullback, and then getting another cycle at the end of the year, hopefully, getting us back to showing that these cryptocurrencies are strong. They do have a lot of value. And, yeah, people may say they're volatile, but as long as they continue to move up the way they are, up and down, as long as it's kind of going up in a general trend, that's fine with us.
No, I mean, we have new coins coming on the market, and they're taking off and doing well, some of them, and it's exciting times. When you have a real solution to a problem, then the technology works and people believe in it. That's what we're seeing.
Well, David, thanks so much. We always enjoy all the time you spend with us and take the time out of your busy day to come on here and talk with us about the crypto markets. But folks, that was our guest, David Drake of LDJ Capital. He'll be coming on the show regularly as always. We took a little bit of break there, but David, thanks so much for taking the time with us again.
Thanks for having me, Daniel. Looking forward to the next time.
Well, folks, again, David Drake of LDJ Capital. That's David at ldgcapital.com. We're going to have him back on again on the show soon sometime. But, folks, stay tuned. We're going to be back here. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook. And we'll catch you next time.
Stay tuned for the next interviews here on InvestorTownhall.com.